My name is Mitchell Woods. I am your uncle.
So, what is a tradition you remember Grandma and Papa always wanted to do every year? Or what
You know,
is.
for us, we had certain. My memories, are pretty standard. Thanksgiving, Christmas. We were fortunate to always be able to take a family vacation. So we sort of, I don't know if I would call it a tradition, but it was something we always sort of did during the summer and look forward to. Um, so that would be all I remember. I mean, we did the typical Halloween stuff, but that was never a big deal. But it was mainly Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then birthdays were always celebrated. So um,
um
it was not a monetary focus as much as it was the family together thing. It was also tradition from a tradition standpoint. Growing up, we did go out and see my father's parents frequently on the weekends. We would always go out and visit, my grandparents, and that was wonderful to have them be a part of, my life.
um any activities that you feel would have been Grandma and Papa would have been disappointed that, or maybe something you and Papa did together that you didn't really think of a tradition, but if you looked back on it, that was something. Like, for example, me going with my dad and his dad to baseball games,
Right.
uh, I see that as a tradition.
Sure. Well, we didn't do anything like that I remembered. Okay. Um, I don't ever remember going to a game with my dad. I got to go to a few games here and there, but I don't remember him. That wasn't sort of his thing. So that was. I remember one time he had taken me down where he was doing some basketball, and I had gotten to go with him to do that, but we never did stuff like that.
Um, is there something you remember from childhood that, with your sisters or with Grandma and Papa, that you miss, something that you kind of think about?
If you miss it, it's probably a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, gosh, I think looking back, it all goes by so fast, and you're growing up and you have a child's perspective on things, and not. And now, as I look back on it from an adult's perspective, it's just a blur. And there's certainly, um, if I could go back, I think I would just try to savor it more and enjoy the family, because we've lost many of our relatives over the years. And it's just, they were fantastic people, and you miss them. And um, would I go back? I think I would have tried to maybe be a little nicer to my sisters. Marilyn, in particular, the middle one, is always um, you know, was more challenging than your mom because we were the difference in the ages. But I always found her more annoying. So I was, but I was the first grandchild and first child. So when my sister was born, I was like, well, what do we need this for? Things were pretty good the way they had been. So that's all I can say on that.
And then now, as a father, what traditions do you think that you would like to do with Jennifer and David, or more so David, I guess?
Yeah. Well, this is what I would say to that. Growing up, I think I would have liked to have had the opportunity to do sports and have my father be involved in that. And that was not something that happened. So when my son was born, I wanted to, be involved with that. So I had got involved when he was younger. David's 20 now, but I began with coaching him with t-ball and the basketball stuff, and that's how I got into coaching. And so, and there's another example of something that's just gone by so fast, but so every game, every practice, I've coached a number of teams for him and just tried to be there for him all the way through, not to, just because I wanted him to have that experience and to, maybe give him more support than that, so he would be successful, and not necessarily just in sports, but just learning the things that you can learn from being involved in team sports, the work, the attitude, the effort, the understanding of team concepts. So yeah.
Something new that you think? I know the sports you were talking about how you didn't really have that with Papa, and you wanted to have that with David.
Yeah.
Um, and I know like we're not a big car family or something like that, but
Right.
was there anything else you can think of that was a new thing that you wanted to do with David,
Well, I'm
or you
glad you
wanted
asked
to do
that.
with
That's
the
a
family?
great question. So, just looking, our focus has been on, baseball and basketball and that kind of stuff. But there's so many other wonderful things out there. And I remember one point when he was in elementary school, he started to do music, and then the music teacher was kind of abrasive and turned him off to that activity. But I sometimes wonder if we missed out on not doing more of those cultural things, the art, excuse me, art and music and drama, and because our activities are very enriching, and okay.
Um,
So I think if I could start traditions, we have. There's one that David and I have gone and traveled to basketball tournaments. We went out of state twice now. One time we went up to Utah. That was last year. We drove up to northern Utah and watched a basketball tournament. The year before that, we had gone to Los Angeles area and watched a basketball tournament, which is wonderful to take a few days and where just the two of us. So that was pretty cool. So and that was his idea. So that was neat to have him come up with that. Well, I think that as we step back from those kinds of things, at the end of the day, I want what I want to have accomplished with my son is to have him understand that, we love him and we believe in him, and that we'll do anything we can within reason to help him be successful and happy. But when he walks out the door, he's on his own. So it's up to him to learn from his mistakes and to accept consequences and do his best whatever he's doing. So I mean, it's more of that kind of and I don't know if that's a tradition, but that would be something that is important to me, and I would hope that that's in him, and that it would be in his children if he is fortunate to have kids someday. So that's like a big deal to me. And then realize, you're going to make mistakes and have failures, but you just got to keep picking yourself up and moving forward, and do what you can do. And there's nothing more to worry about. You've done the best you can, and accept the consequences, whatever they may be, and be willing to